The Little Fir Tree. A young tree, the young pencil-thin fir tree stood admiring his neighbors. The tall oak made him want to be taller and grander. The, t- um, the, the other evergreen trees seemed to laugh at him for being so small. He watched year after year as bigger trees were taken away each winter. He was sure that wherever they were going must be a magical place. It seemed that each tree taken away was special. The little fir tree's greater hope was to be special too. He just knew there was no more life than birds but the sun flitting through his branches, the sun overlooked bright rays shining on the meadow, and the moon waxing and and waning each month. Every year, when snow came and the oak tree had no leaves, fir tree watched as happy people chose special tree. A bird told fir tree a wonderful tale of seeing evergreens in warm homes, dressed a finer, dressed a finery. The people would laugh and sing around the tree. The fir tree thought this was the grandest image. He imagined, imagined it every day as more and more season passed. He grew taller still. A winter adventure. The fir tree was sure this would be the year he was chosen. The branches trembled as he waited. The snow came, and then the happy people came. The group by group, they chose evergreens from the forest. They trembled. The snow fell from his branches. As the sun nearly faded away, a group of laughing people gathered at his trunk. He tried not to trample too much. He didn't want to drop snow on them. He wanted them to think he was the grandest tree in the forest. At last, they took out an axe and chopped him down. The happy people have taken the fir tree from its roots. Fir tree's trembling didn't stop as it strapped him to a shiny red car that moved like the wind. A short while later, Fir Tree was carried into a warm home. He stood him upright in some kind of stand. The happy people tightened screwed around his trunk, talked about his fine needles falling all over the floor. Hearing this, the fir tree vow, vowed, vowed to stop trembling. He didn't want to shake up the needle because the happy people might not want him anymore. Later that night, they took boxes down from clothes. First, they placed shiny bulbs in every color of the rainbow in a string around him. The bulbs winked and twinkled at the fir tree. This made him glow inside and out. Next, the children placed ornaments 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 of wood upon the bounds, while the adults placed those of glass, strings of popcorn, cranberries, and sprigs of holy follow string. The fir tree couldn't help but trembled just a bit. He had never been so proud. His deepest center warmed as candy canes and gingerbread men were hung from his branches. A bright silver star at his top added the final touch. The family, he could tell they were a family now, gathered around him. They told story and sang song well into the night. Soon the adults said good night to the children. Then they brought out paper of the shimmering red, gold, and green. The fir tree watched as they brought out toys and clothes and wrapped each in paper before tying on a bow. They placed the wrapped packages under the boughs. The fir tree would protect them through the night. He thought and thought about all that had happened. The fir tree went over each detail since he had left his forest home. He could not wait to tell the birds, the other trees, and all the forest what had happened on this night. Soon he drifted off to sleep. Next morning, everyone in the house woke up early. The children reached for the packages. He felt so good and warm inside when they were gathered around his branches. The fir tree trembled with excitement. He was not scared this time. The adult talked and laughed as the children marveled over the gifts. They kept mentioning Santa Claus. Santa sounded so grand to the bird tree that he wishes he had met Santa during the night. Soon the children tore open the gift and scattered colorful paper out about the room. They ran happily around the house playing with their new toys. The adult drank hot chocolate on on the couch couch near the fir tree. They stayed close to the fir tree throughout the day and into the night. Alone and feeling, the fir tree awakened the next morning as the family gathered coats and hats. He wondered if they would take him along too. After a short time, they were gone. First spent most of the day in the lonely quiet. Then, when the family came home, he was so excited. They rushed past him to play a game around the kitchen table. Hours later, the fir tree heard them say good night. He spent many days watching the family hurry past him to do this and that. The fir tree began to wonder if they remembered he was there at all. 12 days passed with the fir tree feeling lonely and ignored. On the 12th morning, the People family took up his glimmering lights, glass and ornaments, and the wooden ones too. They took him outside and felt a gust of cold air. They trembled. They leaned him against the fence and left him there. It was dark and cold outside. Outside, he was lonely. He hummed quietly to himself and talked to the moon. He remembered the tunes that family had sung on the night Santa came. Over many months, the fir tree felt the air around him grow warmer. He longed to be decked in twinkling lights and shining ornaments again. He wanted to see the forest home and talk to the birds. He wanted to tell the oak about what he had seen. He wanted to tell the other evergreen about being chosen by a family and about two most glorious day of his life. Spring is here. One day the fir tree found its needles and branches tickled by spring rain. Fir tree almost laughed with delight. Above him the sun shone brightly, and the air smelled the earth. Birds chirped nearby trees, while the happy people furrowed the dirt nearby to plant a garden. It was a woman from the family. She hummed a song he had never heard. It was the sweetest sound. The fir tree spent several weeks listening to the woman work. She had planted seeds, and they were starting to grow. "Now life is beginning again," said the tree, rejoicing in the sunshine and fresh air. All around him, green things were growing, but it could feel its own life coming to an end. Before it was over, he would tell the plants and animals about the hopes and dreams of the little fir tree.